Hello. Come on out, Peter.
Hey,
Welcome.
buddy. It is
Welcome
so
aboard.
amazing to be here with you.
It is such an honor to have you with me here
Yeah.
on stage, Peter. This is fantastic. There you go. Get comfortable. This is Peter's first time in full body tracking, so everybody,
Just,
give him a big hand and
oh,
make him feel good.
and this behind us is extraordinary. Absolutely extraordinary.
So I know it's just so amazing. We obviously wanted to surprise you. I just got
This,
to backstage
so listen, everybody, I'm
with
sitting
Peter on
backstage.
stage.
I'm
Peter, this is
getting all
fantastic.
of my
There you go.
sensors attached so that you can see my arms and legs
Get
move.
comfortable.
And,
This
and
is
my
Peter's.
dear friend Philip here is, we're talking about the technology, and he says, come peek around the corner. So there's a door over there, and I peek my head out and to see
The
I'm in the
desert.
middle of Scaled Composites hangar with Spaceship One in perfect high fidelity, the Xprize logo, and the Mojave Desert over there. It like just blew
Amazing,
my
right?
mind.
Is that
Wow,
not? Now
it is.
you and I first were together. I think I came down to Singularity, and you brought me on stage. What, maybe well, like 4 years ago when we had just
Yeah,
started
we
working
met
on
first in
this.
Chicago back probably 8, 10 years ago, and then we
Yep.
stayed in touch. But yeah, and then we spent that entire day sort of walking around Moffett Field,
Yeah.
around Hangar One, and
Yeah.
brainstorming. And you were just getting High Fidelity going, and I was like, "How can I be involved? How can I support you?" And here it is. It's just
It's
awesome.
it's it's been such a great trip, and now we're finally starting to get to some scale. You can see we've got a gang of people out here, and we're
Yeah.
showing up moment to moment. These are well, actually, first let me say hi to everybody. We've got lots of people that I recognize from High Fidelity that are often here. This, of course, is our now renamed face-to-face speaker series, of which Peter is kind of our honorary first name-changed attendee, visitor. And so I recognize lots of people from the gang of people that have been so passionately building High Fidelity over the years with us, as you've been watching. We've also got a few people I know. I don't know if they're in yet or anybody wants to wave from the annex across the street, which is our
Cool.
facility where people can just walk in basically and get into the same kind of gear that we have on and basically walk into this experience. We've been exploring that. So I don't know if we got any of you guys out there that are from the annex, but if you are and when you are, welcome. It's good to have you here.
It's
And then we've obviously got lots of people from your community,
Yeah,
Peter,
we've
that
got members of the
we had.
Abundance Digital community, and I know Marissa is in the crowd here, Marissa Brasfield,
There she
and I'm
is.
seeing
Hey,
people
Marissa.
appear. Hey, Marissa, awesome. Anyway, I know my mom is watching on YouTube, so hi, Mom. Hope you're doing well.
I was going to say hello to YouTube. We've got a flying camera. I think I see it back there. There we go. Hi, YouTube. So we've got
Hey
some
there.
live people on there.
You know what I love? I spent 11 years working and battling with the FAA and raising money to create a zero gravity company, and I get to like just just to
There we
jump
go.
up in zero G. Now it's so much easier.
Not only can you do that, but if you go high enough, you stay up in the air like this. But
Wow.
we'll do that later. So yeah, we've got our full trackers on. I mean, I got to ask you, Peter. I have watched you on the TED stage. I have watched you speak a million times. You know, you're one of the most passionate and compelling speakers I've ever heard outside of what you actually work on. You're such a great speaker. But I've got to have you flummox this time, right? I mean, this has to be one of the
This is
most unusual
this
ways you've
is
ever
because
done this.
the challenge is the most amazing thing is that my brain forgets every few minutes that I'm actually in a virtual world.
Yeah,
It actually because I get convinced that you're you and you are,
that's it.
and then that the audience is here, and then something clicks, and I say, "Oh yes, I'm in a virtual world in XPRIZE headquarters, and you're 800 miles north of me," and that just keeps on sort of resetting reality for me.
And of course,
But
this is,
and we're in the Mojave Lock, and it's awesome.
yeah, we thought about what to do to just blow you away. And this is the first
It's
time we've
worked.
done an elaborate backstage.
Who's a Navy fighter pilot, was about to fly this thing, and he's right about here with his at 5 o'clock in the morning, about to get into Spaceship One, which is the lower part. I could use this laser,
That's
right?
the
So
lower part, right?
this is
Yeah,
the
yeah,
this is
yeah.
Spaceship One. Can you see this laser as well?
No,
Oh, you
everybody
can't.
can't
Okay.
see your laser. We
Okay.
forgot to give you a laser.
I've got a
pointer.
really cool laser, guys. I
Yeah.
can shoot at things. Anyway, and the lower part is Spaceship One, and Brian Binney's got his mother-in-law who is coming at him to give him a hug, but at the same time, his mother-in-law's got this one of these, 7-Eleven big gulp uh, cups in her hand, and Brian is saying, "What is she going to do as she's coming at me?" So she goes and she gives him a big hug, and she pours this giant
Right down
big
his
gulp
back.
full of coffee, sugared coffee down his back, and he's got to fly to space with the sugared coffee,
That's
and
like
then
the coach, though, when you put the
the
ice water on the
ice
coach at the
bucket
thing,
challenge.
right? And we can't do it here. It wouldn't be
Uh,
it'd be hard to finagle
but
that.
this is so gorgeous, and I can't wait till I take a spaceship flight in high fidelity.
You
Right?
know,
So
I look at this absolutely. I mean, I want to get. Wouldn't it be amazing? We've thought about education as being, obviously, you've heard me talk about this
yeah,
lots, as being one of the big impacts of VR. And think how cool it would be to get the rest of like the Air and Space Museum into a
high
place
fidelity.
where
Yeah,
you could give us a tour, right? We could all, walk around with Peter while he takes us through all the dream machines that you looked at growing up as a kid. I mean, the fact that we could do that and we could have an audience, I mean, we've probably got a lot of countries represented here already. We
sure.
could take everybody on that tour, without getting on an airplane. I mean, that's just
It's
an unbelievable thing.
it's amazing, and thank you so much for building this. I mean, I'm excited about and you and I have talked about this. We have a common friend, Eric Poulier, who
Yeah,
is the creator of Block V and Atomic Systems, and the moment in time where we're so close to when the real world and the virtual world is blurring,
crossover.
a
Yeah.
crossover, right? Where when I'm in this virtual world with you, if I want to go over and sort of like grab a little piece of Spaceship One and maybe take it home with me, I'll have a piece of Spaceship One at home. But you guys were playing in this arena recently, weren't you?
Yep, we sure were. And in
Yeah.
fact, let me tell you, Peter was our friend Eric. Block V is a company we're partnering with, and Block
Mm.
V did this incredible demo 3 days ago that even I was blown away by, where they had an app. You have an app on your phone, and you go out to somewhere in the real world, like New York or something, and you find an artifact with AR with your phone in the real world, and then you suck that thing up. So you find a magic, Coke can in a geolocation, and you load that thing into your phone, and now you have it. And in fact, the fact that you own that object, just like with High Fidelity, is recorded on the blockchain. So you now
Mm.
have like a soda can that you can take to a store and get a real soda with, right? Well, the thing that Block V did and demonstrated a couple of days ago that you guys have not seen yet because it's not up in the marketplace was this app that allowed me to take that same Coke can on my tablet and drop it right here on the floor in front of us. In fact, I was playing with that back in the green room, but our tight security for this magnificent event prevents me from bringing out the beer bottle that I had back there and bringing it here to show you. But this was an amazing demo, as you say, Peter, of two companies, that we're both very close with, working together to build something that's just unbelievable, which is this crossover on the blockchain, on this public blockchain, between virtual worlds and real worlds, which is pretty amazing. Alan, did
Yeah.
we get the slides, or do we not have slides, or? Oh, I hear it. You could bring him up. Peter is such a good presenter, and I've seen him present many times,
Oh,
that I
check this
thought
out.
we'd play a little game. Look, there's one right here too, Peter. So nuts.
Guys, this is really like the TED stage. This is amazing. I mean,
I thought we would try to give
I've
you.
got a confidence monitor right in front of me, and you
Yep.
guys have two monitors right over here. I
Isn't
mean,
this
this
great?
is extraordinary. So that's amazing, pal.
So what I thought I'd do with you, Peter, because you are such a good presenter, is for our gang here, I went through your big deck of everything about.
So I sent him
exponential
last
change.
night, sort of a 2-hour long PowerPoint presentation of 100 slides, and I said, you pick randomly what you want.
Exactly. So I thought we are going to play a little PowerPoint karaoke with Peter, which is, I think he knows the deck so well that we can just skip through it. But why don't we start out
I
with
actually
the
haven't
next?
looked at what you chose. So
Yeah, exactly. Well, Peter, Alan will give you the slides when you want. But why don't you start out just with the exponentials? One of the things I was going to say about this is, like the blockchain, there are some things about futurism, and about change
Hmm.
that are complicated to explain, that are just technically confusing, right? And I think exponentials is one of the things that is obviously really hard, and you have done such a good job
Well,
explaining that as best you can to a
only
to a
because you do such a great
lay
job of
world.
building it. So, first of all, to my Abundance Digital members here, I've got a community of about 2,000 entrepreneurs who I work with and spend time with every day, every week. Much of this may be old hat for you, but for those of you who are not Abundance Digital members, let's play. And here's the challenge, right? So, Philip, you and I are using. You can see over here, I say local and linear. Our brains evolved hundreds of thousands and millions of years ago. So we have in our brains 100 billion neurons, 100 trillion synaptic connections, and
Right.
we're hacking them now with the Vive system and with High
Right.
Fidelity. But the world, our brains, our senses, the way we think, the way we see the world, basically evolved, millions of years ago, and our brain thinks in a local and linear fashion. So the fact of the matter is, when I'm sitting here looking at you, I'm fooling my brain and my senses. I can see my hands and my legs, and I can walk around, and I feel like I'm here. And so the difference, though, is we go to the next slide, that we are not living in a world that's local and linear. We're living in a world that's global and exponential. Things are not changing every 1,000 years, every 100 years. Things are changing every year. Sometimes they're changing every month.
Yep.
And you know about this in particular, the amazing announcements that are being made. And literally things that affect us are no longer those things that are just, in our village or in our tribe. It's literally everything around the world. So the next slide, and if you can go ahead, great. That red line down at the bottom is us. We have not had a hardware or a software upgrade in 2 million years. I mean, yeah. Oh, you can draw?
How
How
cool is
cool is
that, Peter?
that?
I just wanted to always do this for Peter. I get to do the linear. But you guys,
Oh my God, it's so
it's
great.
just so
So,
cool.
so, so literally, we haven't had a hardware or software upgrade in 2 million years since the prefrontal
Right.
cortex came to existence, which gave us art and music and math and all conceptual thinking. And the fact of the matter is, right now, we are at the most amazing time ever to be alive. I mean, clearly, right? Look at where you are and who you are and what you are. I mean, it's incredible. And we're at a time where computation, sensors, networks, AI, robotics, 3D printing, AR, VR, blockchain, synthetic biology, all of these technologies are doubling in power year to year. So, how do you get rid of that, by the way?
Unbelievable. Let's see. Oh, wait. I got it. Wait. I got it. There we go. Look at this.
Oh,
I can delete stuff too. How
it's
cool is
like
that?
one of my here at Xprize, I have a phone room which has got all the walls are whiteboard paint except for one.
Yep.
And when you pick up that marker and you write on the wrong wall, it's there for a while. Anyway, next slide, please. So what does exponential growth feel like? And this is Singularity University. This is where you and I were hanging out. It's at
Yep.
Moffett Field. If your guys ever come by, we maybe out of curiosity, anybody here a SU graduate? If you can raise your hand if you are. We've got a few
Oh,
here in the
look at
room.
that.
Very
One,
cool.
two.
Yes.
Cool. And of
Um,
course, probably some that don't have their headsets on, so they're
or
basically
yeah,
having to
and they're
raise
not
their hand.
raise their hands.
There we go.
um,
That's great.
so let's go to the next slide. Uh, this is linear thinking. If I take,
Here we go.
I'll
Yeah.
back up a little
One,
bit, but
two,
if I take
three.
30 linear steps, I'm 30 meters away, and we're all amazing linear thinkers. But if you go to the next slide, if we go and take 30 exponential steps,
Yep.
where an exponential is simple doubling, 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, in 30 steps, you're a billion meters away. Put
Which
differently,
is
you've gone
which is
26
far.
times around the planet, and that's incredible. So, I mean, this is the amazing difference between linear and exponential thinking. It's literally, a billion-fold
Exactly.
difference.
Give us the next one, Alan. Now here I started to skip around, Peter, because I thought you could just
Uh,
get
so,
but obviously this is the famous one.
I
Yeah,
mean, so
computation.
this comes from my business partner Ray Kurzweil's book, "The Singularity Is Near," and so we all heard of Moore's law. Moore's law is that last part, the part in red, and it's been the last 50 years, right? The first Intel chip that Gordon Moore and his partners made was in 1958, and and I'm sorry, let's see. Yeah,
Yeah,
1958.
58. You were talking about that
Yeah,
first 10 years, right?
the
Where
first
he said it'll
integrated
hold true
circuit.
at least for that.
And literally he said the number of transistors per piece of silicon is going to roughly double every 12 to 24 months, and it did, but it's held for 50 years. But what
Yeah.
Ray Kurzweil did is he went back in time. He said, look at the doubling from electromechanical computers and relay and vacuum tube, and it's held over 100 years. And he
And
called
in fact, right, Peter, the slight upward trend in this isn't this is a log scale graph, right? So the
this is
slight
a
upward trend here is super exponential, right? So
yeah,
we're
it's
actually accelerating.
the first derivative is positive, which means that the rate at which computers are getting faster is itself getting faster. I remember that much for freshman math. So next slide.
Give us
And
another one, Alan.
and and
This is what I
so
wanted you to hit on, Peter, which is, let
yeah,
me just say,
please.
Peter, you have been such a great supporter of my work because VR is one of these, critical things. But give everybody the broader picture, right? All I think about is VR, man. I mean, everybody here knows that from me. I can't think about anything other than how I get, the whole Mojave into VR. But your thinking is broader in that there are actually a number of areas that are as critically transformative as VR, right?
Yeah, so yes, and nothing as incredibly important as VR, of course. Let's put that up front. But the fact of the matter is, faster, cheaper computers are ubiquitous. We're about to have this year what's known as quantum supremacy, right? And the time which quantum computers are able to do or demonstrating the ability to solve a problem that classical computers cannot. And so we've got with Amazon Cloud, we've got basically massive computational power, and that computational power is driving everything, sensors and networks. So what is sensors and networks? We, in 2017 last year,
Mm-hmm.
we had 3.8 billion people connected on planet Earth. 3.8. 2010, it was 1.8 billion. So we went from over 7 years, we doubled the number of people connected. In the next 5 years, we're about to double it again to all 8 billion people, right? So you've got Boeing, you've got OneWeb, you've got 5G networks, you've got SpaceX with Starlink, a gigabit connection speed for every human on the planet, and that's insane. And then our friends at Cisco talk about the IoT, that by
Right.
2020 we're going to have on the order of 50 billion connected devices, right, with 1 trillion sensors. And so everything is connected, and it's going to give us the ability to know anything, anytime, anywhere. We're beginning to be able to sequence your genome, all 3.2 billion letters in an hour, right? And then be able to go in there and edit your genome with CRISPR technologies. And then on top of that, of course, we've got robotics. You've seen the amazing work coming out of our friend Mark Raybert out of Boston Dynamics.
Yep.
Have you seen the Atlas robot running?
Have you guys seen the running Atlas? Who's seen the Atlas do the backflip?
Yeah, that's amazing, huh? That is amazing.
The other way.
Yeah, literally, right, exactly. Woohoo! And at the end of the day, robots now driven by neural networks are going to start entering our lives. And that's going to start becoming a lot of fun. AI,
Yeah.
I mean, Google Duplex, you guys saw Google Duplex,
Unbelievable
right?
demonstration.
Amazing. So I have a question for you. Is that the Turing test being demonstrated?
Boy, no kidding, right? I mean,
right? I mean, honestly, I don't think it gets better than that.
yeah.
I mean, I'd want to play with it a little bit and see if it does anything other than hair salon appointments. But that, for me, that's the Turing test. It doesn't, right?
Yeah, it's just unbelievable to have seen that happen. I was shocked. Honestly, I have to say myself, and folks from Google here, I literally, even being one of you and I saw that and I said, I don't even believe it. I was just like,
So in
even
the back of your mind, are you saying, was it like sort of set up?
I thought it maybe set up, and then I thought, the folks at Google, I just don't think they would do that.
No,
So it's like it's just so unbelievable. I could not believe the fluency of the conversation, from the AI was just unbelievable. And then blockchain.
By the way, I think the most famous line for all of 2018 is going to be, uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah. When everybody started laughing when Jay,
Yeah,
it was so
exactly.
good. Did you guys see that? The AI does the It's just so good,
Just keep the cover.
making us
If you
comfortable.
haven't seen, if you're one of the 1,000 people in the universe who hasn't seen it,
Yeah.
go and Google Duplex and
It's
check it out.
fantastic. Yeah. So then blockchain, what is blockchain? How do you describe it? I describe it on stage here lots because we talk about how we're using the blockchain
Yeah.
to keep information in VR. But what do you broadly say about
I
it?
mean, so at the end of the day, we can talk about it being a trusted network. I think about it uniquely in this space as giving every item a unique identifier that can transit between the virtual world and the real world and can have properties that are unique for it under all circumstances. And so, you and I talked about this first, and Eric Poulier, and did I introduce you to Eric?
I think
Or,
you may have. Yeah. You
so
have
I just
so
think
many good introductions.
I'm so excited about the combination of Block V technology and high fidelity. Again, I imagine in the future where this is my shopping experience. When I go out to a
Yeah.
store, my body's been mapped digitally to sub-millimeter precision, and I look at myself in a mirror, and an AI fashion assistant is trying different things on me, and then I can watch a fashion show of 100 Peter avatars walking around with different suits, shirts, and so. And I say, I want that one and that one and that one,
Totally.
and I can, in fact, if they exist already, I can, basically transfer ownership of that piece of clothing to myself and have it delivered later that day. But the
Yeah.
ability to go between virtual world and real world and back again is just going to change everything.
And it's so fun, these avatars we have. Most of you guys have never seen Peter. Peter hadn't seen himself until like yesterday. These avatars were done by Dube. Peter and I actually went in together and got ourselves scanned, and we both kind of had to try to give our little quizzical grins here, which I think are sort of strange because you'll see we sort of keep them on all the time. But the quality of this scanning is just getting better and better and
So
better.
what? So
And
let me ask you, where are we going to take it? So today we're operating at about, is it a 2K per eye resolution screen?
that's right. That's right.
And so when are we going to get to the point where, in your expectation,
Yeah.
uh, if I pull off my goggles or put
Yeah.
on my goggles,
Same.
it looks the same?
Yeah.
How far are we
Well,
from that?
Google just announced, I don't know if you saw it, I'm sure you did, it was probably 10 days ago. They announced what was it, you guys? I think it was a 5K by 4K screen for each eye. So it was 5K per each eye. The human diffraction limit, as you know, is about 50, 60 pixels per degree. And that's the point where you can't tell when you take the stuff off.
And is
I
that
mean,
about a 16K level?
that actually is about an 8K per eye, right?
Okay, so we're not
Times
far.
120 degrees. So we're not far off. But personally, there's a trick with these headsets, which is we're always moving when we're looking around. And that actually makes it aliases, what we call it. It blurs the image a little bit. So I actually think that our brains will be able to read text perfectly on here, and
Yeah.
go through our emails at closer to Google's resolution. I think about 5K per eye will actually be good enough for most of us, especially if we don't have perfect, unadjusted vision. But yeah, I think we're really close. So that's what two intervals, right? So we're an eye blink away in your time scales.
So my writing partner Stephen Kotler and I are working on our next book. It's
Mm-hmm.
called Convergence: The Future is Faster Than You Think, and we're just in the middle of working on the complete transformation of the transportation industry. Right, transportation is
Yeah.
going to change dramatically. We've seen autonomous cars, electric autonomous cars coming on, and this next decade is going to be incredible for that. I was a closing keynote at Uber Elevate Summit,
Mm.
and my friend Jeff Holden, who just retired from Uber, has created and really led the effort for what they're calling aerial ride sharing, right? We're going to hop in a multi-copter and it's going to pick you up at
Alan,
150 miles.
give us the slide for that. By the way, I
Oh,
picked
do we have a
one of
slide for
Peter's
that?
slides. Yeah, I skipped ahead. I pulled that one
Okay.
out because I thought you might want to show us that.
Okay.
One more, I
Cool.
think, right, Alan? I think there we
Yeah.
go. There we
So,
go. That's the Airbus one.
so that's Airbus. So Boeing, Airbus, Embraer, a multitude of amazing startups are working on this. And the requirements that Uber put out was to be on the Uber Air network, you need to build a vehicle that can carry 4 people because it's
Right.
ride sharing. and carry you. It has to have on the order of a 60-mile range without recharging, average of like a 25-mile trip, 150 miles per hour. And what's extraordinary is the price. So get this: a helicopter today, I happen to know these numbers exactly, is $8.93 per passenger mile.
Wow.
$8.93. Okay.
Oh, no.
Your car is 49 cents per
Yeah,
passenger mile.
I'd say, yeah, 50 cents.
Uber Air's goal is that it will be, if you fly on an aerial ride sharing, it's $0.44, 44 cents per mile. They
Wow.
want it to be cheaper than the marginal cost of you owning a car to
Of a
fly
gasoline
around
car.
like the Jetsons.
How much
Isn't that
cheaper
amazing?
is it with an electric car? Does that bring it
So,
down to like
so
a nickel or something?
so here's the number. The electric cars are slightly cheaper than your car. Autonomous electric cars are 5x cheaper, right? So today, the estimate is that compared to driving your car, an electric autonomous car will be potentially 10 times cheaper than owning a car, which means we all are going to park our cars. If you just bought a amazing, Porsche, Lamborghini, it's a museum piece.
That's why I've been holding off.
I know you have.
No new cars for me. Hey, Alan, take us back a few slides to that C-vent slide. I don't know if you remember that one, but Peter just that's it. Peter finds these things. I'm always, when I'm listening to him talk, hearing something where I'm like, I feel like I'm reading everything, but I'm not. What is this? This is the batteries are not going to be a problem. That's what this is.
So first of all, one of my major objectives with my Abundance community, both Abundance Digital and my Abundance Summit, is trying to change people's mindset that we're living in a world of scarcity.
Yeah.
And people have this incredible like negative pessimism driven by what I call the crisis news network all the time, and it's like this is running. And when we were writing Abundance back now 8-9 years ago, there was everybody saying, oh, the population of the earth is going up and we're going to have to start all using less resources, and we have to divide the pie thinner instead of baking more pies. And one of the issues is, do we have enough rare earth elements? So this story comes out, and it says off the coast of Japan, in the silt, just off the coast of Japan, there is a near infinite amount of rare earth metals, right? Enough rhodium, osmium, rubidium, whatever the metals are that you need for batteries, electric motors, for the next 400 years. It's insane, right?
Did you guys know that's incredible? Yeah.
And so I posit there is nothing actually truly scarce. And if you've built your business on something around scarcity, you're going to be sadly disappointed. So I was just talking.
There's so much good writing going on about that lately. Philosophically, with virtual worlds, I think about it, right? Because we fundamentally have a different set of costs here that are in most cases almost zero, except for our precious attention. And everybody here is giving us their attention right now. And thank
attention,
you.
Attention is the currency in that regard.
But Peter has really shown that if you guys haven't read Peter's work, it's so inspiring to look at how, despite the many, many challenges that we certainly face, we've got great weapons as humans now, and we've got all kinds of problems we're going to have to get through, and we have wealth inequality. But Peter writes about abundance, and it's really moving to look at how many things outside of computing are going good, this. And that's one of them. I think we got it. Alan, is there give us another slide there. What was that next one? I just love this picture, Peter. Could you, what did you do here? I love this. This is me at 15.
So I talk about the 6 Ds of exponentials. Whatever you digitize, like we've digitized ourselves, enters a period of slow, deceptive growth and eventually becomes disruptive. And when it does, it dematerializes, demonetizes, and democratizes products and services. And this is dematerialization. You don't have this stuff anymore, right? It's all on your phone. And so you, Philip, and your amazing team at High Fidelity are dematerializing transportation. So I was saying in chapter 1 of Convergence, we're talking about flying cars, autonomous cars, Hyperloop, Boring Company, rocket travel, all these things that are transforming transportation. But in the day, I just saved myself grueling hours getting to the airport, flying up, taking an Uber, traveling to you. And I feel like I'm going to feel at the end of the day like I spent an amazing hour with Philip Rosedale.
Exactly. I mean, you're not going to be able to tell the difference.
Yeah. It's
Although you
instantaneous
get a good
transportation.
workout because you have to stand the whole time. We don't have a chair working yet, but
Yeah, but this is good.
but that's you. This is how
I've
you
got a
do it.
walking
Yeah, you're
desk,
a
right?
walking talker.
Yeah.
Alan, give us another one. What else? What else do we have in here? Oh, Waymo. Yeah, I didn't. This is amazing.
Yeah. So
Tell us about
Waymo.
Waymo.
So you have to understand, Waymo began out of the passion of Larry Page. So Larry Page had been at the DARPA Grand Challenge, where
Right.
DARPA had a competition for an autonomous car to drive. It was like 50 kilometers in the desert. I forget that exact number. And Sebastian Thrun, who's a professor at Stanford,
Oh,
won
wow.
it. And Larry hired Sebastian, said, "Come and build autonomous cars here at Google." And they spent the better part of 8 years building autonomous cars, a Prius and Lexi and all kinds of things. And of course, when they went to all the car companies, said, "Here it is, the future of travel," the car company said, "You're crazy. No one's going to want an autonomous car." And then, of course, in the last 2 years, the car companies are going, "Holy shit, we're screwed." And we have to start. You have to go from being a car company to a mobility company. And
Incredible.
so,
I got a ride in Sebastian's car. I got to tell you about the
yeah.
same time. When was that first meeting that Singularity was formed out of, Peter? That meeting, I know Larry and Sergey were there, and it was in a little hall somewhere.
Yeah, that was 2009. They're about 2008, 2008.
I remember it was right around then, I think, that I got a ride. I was at that meeting, just with my mind blown about that, listening to you and Ray talk about this thing. And then Sebastian gave me a ride in that car, and I had my hands, they said, just put your hands, be ready. And this thing drove me around the Stanford campus. It was just incredible.
It is. And at the end of the day, they spun out their autonomous car division into Waymo. I got to talk to them about their branding of their names, their companies, but it's a different thing. And Waymo has bought 20,000 of these electric, beautiful Jaguar, and they're going to be on the streets.
Where?
They're in operational in 25 cities today. Did you know that? 25
Nope.
cities today. And here's the deal. They're going to be generating something like 1 million passenger miles of data per day when these come online. And data is everything in this game, because it's all training data. They're going to become the safest, most reliable, lowest cost operator. And it's going to be a network effects opportunity.
Incredible. Give us another one, Alan. I know we're going to save some time for some questions here at the end, like we always do, which would be great.
So this was
everybody to get a chance.
This is the flight that Spaceship One made. Our challenge to Burt Rutan and all the teams was build a private spaceship. You could only have 10% of your funding come from the government. We wanted it to be basically a challenge that was not, we didn't want a government coming in and winning it. I didn't want the Chinese government winning the Xprize. That wouldn't have proved anything. Privately funded, you had to carry 3 adults. And in that lower part of that ship, which we have a 1/3 scale model hanging in Xprize offices about 10 meters behind me, not in this virtual space, but in that tiny ship, there's a pilot up front and 2 paying passengers behind. And you had to go up to 100 kilometers altitude. Originally, we set it at 100 miles altitude, and we did the reentry thermal characteristics coming from 100 miles through the atmosphere, and the heating was too high for composites. And so we actually lowered it from 100 miles to 100 kilometers, knowing full well most Americans would know the difference between 100 kilometers and 100 miles anyway.
You heard it here first.
And then we said, with the same ship, you have to make the flight twice in 2 weeks. And that was the key part, because it meant that you could turn it into a business. And Richard Branson came in and bought the rights on the winning day. Right behind, there's a big runway over there. And we had TV cameras, hundreds, thousands of TV cameras out in the desert here. And Richard Branson came and parked one of his Virgin 747 jets to get all the media attention.
Did he really get that? Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
I think that it is so incredible, Peter. I talk about you all the time. People have forgotten at this point that only a few years ago, the only way you got to space or became an astronaut was through a government. And it's ridiculous to think that through your work, that is now, nobody even knows that. People are like, spaceships, like they build cars, they build spaceships. Elon's going to go to Mars, and now Boeing's going to go to Mars, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
another race.
Ridiculous to think that you, in such a short time, and with your help, we switched over from from the United States and Russia and China, whoever being the only game in town, to
Mm.
everybody. Incredible. Let's skip forward a little bit, Alan. I think we had a few more ones. I wanted to show the last. Let me give us one more, Alan. Especially for the group in this room. Tell us
Oh,
about this
yes.
exercise.
Yeah. So this is great. So I fully hope that secretly you're forming a team to compete on this thing. So I love this. I love being a digital avatar, and I love being here with you. My challenge is that I can't right now really reach out and touch you or go out and physically help someone stand up from the ground or help an aging person get out of bed or whatever. So this is the work that we do here at the Xprize Foundation, and we work with amazing companies around the world. And a company we had met through the Google Lunar Xprize is ANA, All Nippon Air. And who would have thunk it that a Japanese airline would ask an amazing question? They asked the question, what will disrupt air travel? And then how do we get out ahead of the disruption curve?
Yeah.
And so they funded a team led by a dear friend of mine, Dr. Harry Kloor, and that team came up with the idea of, Harry had worked on this, but an avatar express. So here's the deal. To win this competition, you need to create a robotic avatar, a physical robot that at home you put on your VR headset like I've got on now. I put on a haptic suit, and I'm going to basically transmit my senses and my actions into the body of that robot. And so if I'm in my pajamas at home in Santa Monica and I want to go up to High Fidelity's offices in San Francisco, and he happens to have a robotic avatar there, I can sort of beam into that robotic avatar. Maybe there's an e-ink face that looks like me, and as I walk around the offices and I move my head like I'm moving here, there's a physical robotic avatar. And it's to complement the digital robotic avatar we have here. So we've announced the competition. I checked the numbers before I walked over here. We have 374 teams that have pre-registered already. I was in Russia last week. I think it was last week. I was in St. Petersburg, and I was there with the largest bank. And that bank, it was there. The CEO is a fan of mine. I was up and he introduced me to his head of technology. And it turns out that bank has put together a team to compete for the Avatar Xprize.
Wow.
They also have get this. They have flying drones for cash delivery.
Oh my gosh.
They move 80,000 tons of cash per year.
Why are they? That's unbelievable. Why?
I guess because the rubles go. I don't know. Anyway,
heavier and heavier.
It's a stat that I just can't help. I mean, blockchain's going to change that.
Great.
So it's $10 million. You need to build the robotic avatar and the digital side of the system, and you're going to have to demonstrate operating it from 100 miles away, or it's 100 kilometers away. Anyway, the point being, from a distance, and be able to, we're going to give you a set of tasks you have to do. Maybe it's go get a beer out of the refrigerator, maybe it's help a person out of bed, maybe it's go and examine someone. You have to take an untrained user and put them in your system and have them use the robotic avatar. But I'm just wondering, how long from now is it going to be that we've got sort of robotic avatars walking around TED, and I can't wait till we have the first TEDx. Have you done TEDx's in virtual space already?
We're thinking about that right now.
That's such a perfect thing.
Wouldn't this be great now that you've seen it? Right?
This is amazing.
The deal is we can have people from all over the world. I mean, who's the farthest away? Have we got anybody from Japan? Is anybody from Japan here? You guys Japan? Who thinks they're the farthest away? Matter of fact, let's stop now and take some questions and have some conversation.
That's the fun part
about this. So you guys, we got the mic stands. We'll drop the balls there, and anybody that wants to can walk up to the mic there, and come on up and give us some thoughts or ask a question. Get up there. This is so much fun. Hey there. Hello.
Hello. How are you guys?
Great.
Pleased to meet you.
There you go.
I'm back.
Okay. You're back.
I'm not sure if you can hear me now.
Yep,
Yes.
we sure can.
We sure can.
Awesome. I wanted to say something incredible because 6 days ago I was a speaker in TEDx in Bolivia and I was talking about Peter Diamandis. And
Here it is.
we are currently now 3 meters away, really. It's incredible, right?
It's
It's amazing.
I want to come over there
and hug you.
Yeah, me too, man.
And
Me too.
when-
We'll meet now because we are going from Argentina to Singularity University by car.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
yes,
So I was
yes.
So I was going to say, so you're in
Argentina
Argentina right now.
I was born lovely and have our own office. And a few days ago, I remember we had the Singularity University webinar talking about
Yep.
exactly
Yep.
these things. So I wanted to ask Peter and both of you guys if you know how long it will take for this technology to be applied officially, like for everybody.
Well, there,
Mute
mute your mic there.
So
So
we've got, just back
up there a little bit because you got your
mics
mics up.
So we're doing that FBI challenge where our voice comes
Voice
back
comes back in a
and
second and
it's too loud.
too loud to hear.
You can't do it. You got to mute. Hit mute. But my answer to that question is this. Maybe Peter could add some. We talked about one factor earlier, which is we've got to be able to read our email. We're not going to have the full transformation. We're not going to have that sort of 7-year clock start that ran on smartphones until, in my opinion, we can make out text and type, and answer our email basically in here. As mundane as that sounds, new technologies have generally sort of superset the old ones. We were able to do almost everything on a smartphone, even from, the iPhone 1. And, so I think that's critical. So that means higher resolution displays. The other thing we actually have higher capacity for a lot of people in one place than any other technology by a long shot. There's 100 or maybe over 100 people in here right now. We got an overflow room. We'll bring more people in if anybody wants to try and break the system here in a little bit when we take another couple questions. But it's also the case that, to do a real TED, well, how many people are at TED, Peter, when we're there? It's usually like a couple thousand, right?
Yeah, at least. Yeah.
So we'd really like for this to be effective and to get our voice out to the largest audience, it needs to be international and, global and diverse, which it certainly is. You see that right now. But it also needs to be maybe 1,000 people that could come into this room. And we're working hard on that technology. I don't think that's a tough problem. We've already gotten to this level of scale, but we do have to get to, thousands to anything you would add in terms of what we need to work
I think the question that you asked is what needs to happen for us to actually do our work here in this space. And so there's a neurological issue, right, of how long can you stand being in a virtual space in terms of the wear and tear on your brain. So far, I feel great. What do you? How long does the average person stay in the virtual reality, and what's the longest you've stayed comfortably in high fidelity?
I know there are people on my team, and if there's anybody out there that wants to jump in and tell us that have logged probably 10 or 12 hours nonstop in system. However, for me, it's usually like a couple hours, and I start to get fatigued. Like an event like this with us doing the pre-check in the green room, it gets up to that. I'm not going to go dancing to our next event, which I think is coming up this afternoon. I don't think I'd jump right from here to there without getting out of here and getting my brain to defuzz a little bit after this. I think there's a level of fatigue, as you said, that's not just the equipment. It's also, and this I think is actually honestly a challenging problem. I don't know if you feel this, Peter, being on stage. It's a little harder to think, to think articulately and speak when we're up here. I've noticed this myself because there's just so much to take in. It's almost like being airdropped into the middle of Tokyo and then be like, okay, Peter, go, talk about stuff. It's kind of hard.
I mean, I know, and I'm loving the avatars. I just want to walk around and sort of
I know,
look at each one of
you got to do that. Yeah.
So the reality is, I think the question is, when are we going to start to begin working in virtual space? And I think that's very soon, right? I think once I talk about something called user interface moments, and a user interface moment is a time at which the system becomes simple enough for an untrained user to begin to utilize a very complex system. You saw Mosaic and Netscape as the user interface moment for the internet. And you saw the App Store becoming user interface moment for a multitude of things on the iPhone. So I think we're just now beginning to do it. And, my question for you is, what do you think is going to become the first real business application in high fidelity? Is it going to be avoiding travel? Is it going to be entertainment? Is it going to be,
Yeah.
what is it?
It's got to be something that makes it worth going through the difficulty right now of getting into these rigs like you and I did. So I think it's got to be something that is not casual, but delivers a lot of value to somebody. So
Yeah.
something that crosses a great distance and conveys a lot of information. Personally, I think it's going to be teaching. We did this thing recently that we've been doing as a test where we're bringing people through an Egyptian tomb. We bring teachers and their
It's
kids
amazing.
together.
Yeah.
Just incredible experience.
A field trip.
And yeah, a field trip, a virtual field trip. So I think that a virtual field trip where you're seeing something that you would never get a chance to see. How about Peter giving you a tour of the International Space Station, right? I mean, that'd be just ridiculous to be able to do that. How much would you pay for that, right? You'd pay a lot. So I think that people will be willing to pay for and buy the equipment and get into this system so that they can have educational experiences. That's my bet on the first one. And I think some sort of work-oriented stuff will come after.
But I think we're going to start to see that soon. Let's get to the next question.
Yeah. Is that Darlin over there? Hi.
Who's there?
Here we go. This is the moment of unmuting yourself.
Can I ask a question?
Yep. Hi. Yep. Hi.
You guys are doing a great job. I've been in Hi-Fi for about a year or so, and this is really exciting. I'm glad that you're all doing this.
Thanks.
How do you see exponential technology fitting into global warming and nationalism that we're currently experiencing in our American administration?
So let me address that in a couple of ways. On the global warming front, there are two things. Number one, we're seeing really an exponential growth in the amount of solar being produced globally in terms of the number of photovoltaic plants and solar thermal plants. We're also seeing a massive growth in battery capability. You've got Elon's gigafactory near Reno, but you've got 10 equivalent gigafactories construction around the world. 100 gigafactories give us all the battery needs we need to go to an all-electric economy. And so my goal is that it becomes economically irrational for a country to burn coal. And you're starting to see that already. I mean, what's going on here with us backing coal plants just seems insane, but it is insane.
Right, and it actually is happening, right? We're backing clean coal, which is just insane.
Right. But there will be a point at which it breaks, right? The buggy whip manufacturers only stayed in business so long when the automotive came along. And we will have, interestingly enough, the poorest countries in the world are the sunniest countries in the world. So last year we saw solar at about 2.7 cents per kilowatt hour out of Mexico. The price of coal was 5 cents a kilowatt hour, so it's half the price out of Mexico.
Wow.
Imagine Mexico becoming a net energy exporter to the United States.
What's the cost now, Peter? You're always tracking this of paying for that 2.7 cents a kilowatt. What's the plant install cost now?
I have it, but I don't have it memorized.
But it's coming down fast.
It's
right?
coming
Yeah,
down.
That's the breakthrough point.
The installation cost. And then we're starting to see solar embedded in windows, solar embedded in roadways, solar embedded in every place. And so when I fly over LA as a pilot, all rooftops, right? Every rooftop could and should be covered with solar. In fact, the California.
No, estoy en su lista de cosas y me anoté rápido.
One of our Spanish-speaking friends is unmuted. But anyway, so at the end of the day, we're gonna see transformation. I'll leave it at that moment.
Hey, Chaos, I see you over there. You want to do the next question? This is our friend Chaos Peter, who is in full trackers as well, as you can see.
I see. Amazing.
Hi, it's Chaos Princess from Munich, Germany. And,
chaos, you would call us chaos, yes.
Chaos in short. And yes, this talk was so inspiring. Thank you so much for being here. And
our pleasure.
I was really intrigued by the philosophical first part, because this so much spoke to me. Exponentials are the magical thing to make things move. But I have the feeling that I've speeded up to 200 miles an hour from the time since my graduation. on my graduation, I could take in theory of relativity and everything, but I couldn't take in everything which is out there on knowledge now. And so as much as I'm like loving this explosion which is happening now, how are gonna things proceed? Are we as humans, who should be like the human inspirational force, are we gonna be able to keep up, or is there gonna be a point of solution?
Cass, that's a great question. So first of all, if the conversations I had in the beginning are of interest to you, I have a community of about 2,000 entrepreneurs that are called my Abundance Digital community. And if you go to abundancedigital.info, you can learn more about it and consider participating. But we talk about this, right? How do you deal with the only constant is change, and the rate of change is accelerating. And so there are a lot of implications. How we raise our kids, how we manage our nations. Every single industry is going to become massively transformed in the next 10 years, not 50 years. In the next 10 years, everything is going to change. We're going to create more wealth in the next 10 years than we have in the entire past century. Right. And so I'm in the boardrooms in the largest corporations, Fortune 200 companies all the time. And literally my job is both to scare the shit out of them and to inspire them. And it's to say, you guys, if you're standing still, you're moving massively backwards. And other thing I talked to them about is the idea that the day before something is truly a breakthrough, it's a crazy idea. The guy who designed this spaceship, Burt Rutan, is the guy who first said that to me, and it hit me. He's right. The day before something is truly a breakthrough, it's a crazy idea, right? If it wasn't a crazy idea the day before, it'd be an expected incremental improvement. For it to really be, oh my God, that's an incredible breakthrough, it had to have been a crazy idea. So where do we try those things? So at the end of the day, Chaos, the question about how do we keep up is again the challenge of the local and linear mind living in a world that is global and exponential. And a lot of what's going to allow us to keep up is going to become AI interfaces. We're all eventually going to have a version of Jarvis, a digital personal assistant that you give permission to listen to every conversation you have, to read your emails, to see what you're eating, to know everything, because it will become a filter and a prioritization engine for you, right? Today, our brains filter and basically read and edit and understand a fraction of 1% of everything we see, hear, feel, and touch, right? All we do is we filter. We're filters and meaning-making machines. And AIs will help us do that more efficiently. Anyway, that's part of the answer.
That's a great question, though, Chaos. Who else has a question? Let's take a couple more, and then I know Peter's got to get into his next meeting. Although
I'd want to hang out here all day.
Yeah, look at this, is a wonderful.
I'm just enjoying these avatars so much.
Who else has a question over there?
Don't be shy.
Yeah, come on up. Hello.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep, we can.
Step a little bit closer to the microphone.
It doesn't matter, but
Feels better, right?
yeah.
Okay, so this is Ashley from High Fidelity, and I'm actually going to take a question from one of our live YouTube viewers.
Great.
Her name is Sharon, and she says that she helps women get promoted for a living, and she's wondering how you guys think we might be able to apply VR to help her be more effective in that endeavor.
That's great.
Wow.
You take that on, Peter. To help women get
promoted.
Maybe even opportunities for women in work in VR possibly might be an interesting.
Why don't you take it first? Good.
Yeah, I was going to say, as you guys have probably heard me speak about before, obviously VR is a very powerful level playing field. People don't have the advantages of physical, mass and or anything else coming into the virtual world. They come in, creating their own definitions of who they are, and for the most part on a much more level playing field than the real world. We have seen real data in Second Life to suggest that creates powerful, fascinating changes in the gender distribution, for example, of who our leaders are. The Second Life is led by a group of entrepreneurs and entertainers and statesmen, and the people that are just sort of making Second Life what it is, that are very substantially more female than what we've historically seen, say, in American business. And I think that's something that's very inspiring, and that we need to actually write more about as time goes by and get more statistics on. But there's little question, I think, Ashley, that things like hiring process can be dramatically changed in VR. I mean, we can be face to face and feel close like we do right now, and ask hard questions and talk about anything at any distance between two people without necessarily betraying, facts about, background or race or gender. And I think that's one example of where VR can do good. But as I said before, I think broadly, VR is, in its very nature, a very level playing field, and we're going to see a lot of really inspiring results continue to come out of that. That's a good one. Piper, you.
Hi.
Oh no, hi.
Oh no, hi.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I'll step back.
Hi. Yeah.
Yeah, give us a quick question there. You got your pretty loud mic. Oh, we might have one of my team might have just turned your levels down on you. Maybe Piper, do you want to jump in and take the next one?
Yeah, that would be
Sure.
cool. You were talking earlier, Peter, about solar.
Yes.
And you also spoke about, us all flying around in hover cars and the stuff of my boyhood dreams. Now, is it realistic to think that we can harvest enough solar to be able to do those things, to achieve those things? Or do you see some kind of roadblocks ahead in terms of, being able to get energy without burning fossil fuels?
Yeah, and there's not only zero roadblocks, there is what you could call a squanderable abundance of energy. So let me give you the numbers. If you look at the total amount of energy the human race consumes in a year, there is 8,000 times that amount of energy that hits the surface of the Earth in a year.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a matter of literally being able, just from solar alone versus wind and geothermal. And do you know that there are 5 fusion startups funded by venture capital in the Valley?
I didn't know that.
It's crazy. So I think the back of petroleum is going to be broken within the next 20 years. Probably maybe the next 10, and it's just a slow decline thereafter.
Commercially viable fusion, when?
I don't know.
Because I don't think we're throwing enough money at the problem, So
I'm not going to make a prediction about that. So, one of the challenges is I think we can meet 100% of our energy needs and then some from solar. And then it's on an exponential price performance improvement curve that, and it's a completely decentralized, right? So we just saw the California Housing Association make a requirement that all new buildings after 2020 something have to have a solar in production, right? So imagine if every rooftop in California is generating energy, the price comes down. In fact, Solar City said, listen, don't pay for a penny, allow us to install it, and they're going to make energy off of our rooftops for us. So I don't think there's an energy issue. So batteries have to get better a little bit, but they're on that trajectory.
You got to store it at night. Let me take.
I was just going to carry on with that. So one of the things that you may have to use power for is desalination, right?
Yeah. So I'll give you here's what's going on. People worry about water scarcity, water abundance. Water scarcity and water wars and so forth. So right now in India, we have another Xprize going on, funded by Ratan Tata. He is one of the gentle giants of the world, one of our Vision Circle members. And we have a competition. It's called the Water Abundance Xprize. We've asked teams around the world. You can win the money. I think it's $5 million or $7 million, but you can win this by building a machine that can pull 2,000 liters of water out of the atmosphere at under 2 cents per liter, right? And we had like 98 teams enter that competition.
That's
And
crazy.
it turns out that 2/3 of the populated planet is at humidity levels high enough to allow these machines to work.
That
So
is crazy.
imagine in every village or every little town, whatever it is, you're just making it more comfortable and pulling it out. It's a rain-making machine. So we expect a winner sometime within the next 9 months of that competition.
That is just
Thank you,
incredible.
Peter.
That's incredible. Hey, one more question,
yeah.
and then I know I got to get Peter out of here, but maybe we got one more question over there at the other mic.
Please. Sir, in the green.
Hi, Peter.
Hi.
Hey there.
I'm also from Argentina. That's Nicolas, the other one that asked the question. My question was about your 20 years prediction on the evolution of technology, and specifically is how do you see politicians from sub-developed countries are going to slow down that tendency, and if so, do you imagine by how much, and which are the factors or the key factors that are going to help politicians and elites don't prevent people and societies from evolving? Thanks.
So, yeah, that is a great question. And thank you for asking it. So one of the things I realize is that when you think about as an entrepreneur, what your advantages are, it's your knowledge, it's your team, it's your capital, it's your technology. Sometimes your advantage is where you're based as well, what country you're in. And so there are going to be those countries, smaller countries, like northern. A little bit echo here. In Israel or Dubai or other places where they are very tech forward, that's an advantage. And other places where it's a disadvantage. So I agree with you, that is a challenge. Can you hear the echo as well, or is it just me?
Yeah, I know it'll make you crazy. Sorry, whoever's echoing there, try and turn off. But yeah, it's just let you finish that.
At the end of the day, I think one of the advantages that we have as entrepreneurs, no matter where you live, is your ability to build a global company. So this past year, we saw the nation of Estonia create something called e-Estonia, where you could actually establish your living in Buenos Aires, wherever you live, you could establish your company in Estonia, and you could, be living in one place, but having your corporate domicile someplace else, having your products and services and employees on the blockchain, doing your transactions in cryptocurrencies. I think we're about to, one of the most exciting things about the convergence of blockchain and virtual reality is the dissolution of nation states. It's the dissolution of language, right? Right now, you're hearing me in English, but we're not too far from you hearing me in a perfect Argentinian dialect, right? Which would be so cool.
Yep.
But the fact of the matter is, the currency we use, the language we speak, the where we live, those things are going to begin to fall. And any politician who stands in the way of this very rapid transformation, they'll only stand in the way for so long. And then there will either be a revolution to overthrow them, or their nation will go into bankruptcy, and then they'll get overthrown. You're not going to stay in the way of this exponential technology, which is going to be changing every aspect of our lives.
I have one question.
Okay, one more, and then we got to go.
Thank you very much. So, Peter, would you please describe what is your ultimate vision? What is the world you want to see in one sentence?
Wow. It is a world of abundance where we can meet the needs of every man, woman, and child on the planet.
Absolutely.
That's the simplest thing. I can give you one additional sentence, which is it's not a world of luxury for everybody. It's a world of possibility, where a mother in the middle of Tanzania knows that her child has the best healthcare in the world, the best education in the world, access to all the knowledge, the energy, the water, the housing they need. And then that enables us to dream bigger. When we go from living to survive to living to thrive, right?
So where can I find people who are actively working towards that final thing?
That's the Abundance Digital community. So go to abundancedigital.info. We have 2,000 entrepreneurs who think in an abundance exponential mindset. There's also Singularity University. This is, listen, I'll close with one thing if I may, which is you're an average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? If you want to be skinny, hang out with skinny people. You want to be, fit, work out with people who hang out with people who work out all the time. If you want to have an abundance exponential mindset and work with people to make the world a better place, find those individuals, create a community. And the most amazing thing, what you're doing, buddy, is you're allowing this community to come together independent of geography.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So I'm a Greek by birth, not by birth, but by family birth. My parents are both from Greece. And I am, it really is just a commitment to the passionate human mind. Anyway,
unbelievable. Well, listen, everybody, let's give a big thank you to Peter Diamandis. I can't believe we got him here on stage.
Give me a hug.
Great to have you. Give me a hug. Isn't that cool? That's great. Thanks, everybody. Thanks. Let's just walk back, and I'll get you. And I'll come back in a minute and hang out with everybody. And Peter, let's get you back there.
All right. Let's see. That's not going to work here.
Teleport.
There we go.
I thought I'd say that. Sorry.
No, I'll sit down.
That was cool.